Hispanics have so many reasons to dump Biden-Harris. The main one is the border. How cynical of an entire Democratic Party to believe that in the 9 years since Donald Trump elevated into the international consciousness his view on illegal immigration, build the wall, be fair to the people here, America first. 9 years later, the Democrats still think that attacking Donald Trump on the border is going to get them Hispanic votes. I think Donald Trump's going to have monster gains among Hispanics, and I think it's part of why he should pick a person of color as his VP.
Okay, it's something about her tone. My ears hurt. It's the last part. Okay, she's clearly in his ear, and I believe this is what's going to happen. This explains why Tim Scott is allowing himself to be emasculated so. I mean, what are you doing, Tim and others? There's that representative down in Florida who's also, as I see it, Kellyanne Conway seems to have gone woke after hitting Biden for choosing a woman of color as his running mate in 2020. Remember that, saying only considering females for vice president is like a co-ed at the end of a frat party saying, I need a woman. Conway has decided now it's politically correct, expedient for Trump to do something similar. They're not even caring about the copycat label. They could care less. And this just isn't any advisor. Of course, Conway very much in the inner circle has also suggested some potential names for Trump's VP. Looks like her marriage is going to be, inside that house, it's going to be something else between her and her husband. They're going to be going after it on Twitter, the daughter in between. Okay, so look, Conway, who is in 2016 rather advocated for Trump to pick former Vice President Mike Pence, wrote Rubio, Scott, and Donalds would be on a list of potential 2024 running mates, as well as former Trump cabinet official Ben Carson. Another one who said slavery had benefits. Remember? The New York Post had him on the cover. They came in chains, Ben. Okay, I remember that. It's foolishness. Representative Wesley Hunt, a Republican out of Texas, and entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy recently suspended his 2024 campaign after annoying everyone on the stage. He said, I'm quitting the race and endorsing Trump.
Before we continue with the story, we depend on members to keep on going. Don't wait. Click join now on YouTube.
CBS News with the reporting here. Latino support for Biden may be waning. Polls show that Mr. Trump's standing with Latino voters has grown since his defeat in 2020. Don't understand that. With some surveys finding him winning more than 40% of those voters, a level not seen for a Republican in 2 decades. New York Times. According to a CBS News poll from late February, Mr. Biden's support amongst Hispanics has dropped by 12 points since 2020 from 65 to 53%. This decline marked the steepest drop in Mr. Biden's share among the groups surveyed. And I wonder, Jordan, what you make of it. I remember under the Biden administration, you had agents on horseback, looked like whips, but I could be wrong about that, rounding up brown faces in a way that was despicable. What do you make of, if the polling's correct, Hispanic voters moving away from Joe Biden and into this anti-immigration, I think he even said they should be shot on sight, Donald Trump campaign?
I struggle to put myself in a voter who would be upset with Biden on immigration, but then support Trump. I struggle to put myself in that person's mind, because the problem with Biden on immigration is that he's continuing Trump's immigration policies. He's taking some of the worst aspects of Trump's immigration policies and continuing to implement them, defend them in court. And that's what we're seeing, scenes like what you described. I need people to remember, it was just as bad and worse under Trump. And this isn't to say, oh, Biden is the answer. They're both bad, but why are you going back to Trump? Because as you point out, the rhetoric that Trump coupled those policies with were heinous, and that gives the Border Patrol, that gives ICE just free reign to do whatever they want. Now you see what's happening in Texas, where they want to just operate free from the federal government's oversight, that's horrifying. Like, what accountability measures do you have, especially when they're already putting things like razor wire in rivers to maim and harm immigrants who are trying to come here? So I can't explain, and I wish I understood, but it's so confusing to me why people would support Trump if they're upset over immigration. It's just so bizarre.
I think people sometimes have short memories, or because of the deliberate disinformation campaigns, they may not remember cages. If they were lucky, remember the foil blankets and sleeping outside, and oh yeah, children separated from their families. By the way, it's March 2024, and do you know some have never been reunited with their parents, their families? It was a cruel, sick, deliberately cruel thing to do. And yet that's what Donald Trump was proud and loud with it. As you said, Joe, and I hate that we even have to discuss the lesser of two evils when we're talking about human beings, lives, just lives, okay? People fleeing places like Haiti who don't even have a shot. They're getting the tires out, setting them on fire around people again. But hey, let's debate who's worse. But if we're going to do that, as you said, Jordan, there is someone who clearly comes out on top in the cruelty department, not the guy who's just continuing these harmful policies. I'll give you the last word.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand it. But on the VP pick, I think what Kellyanne Conway is saying is cynical, but I don't think she's actually wrong. If they see an opportunity from an electoral perspective where they can make inroads with Latino voters, maybe leaning into that would be a successful strategy for them. I think you'll see backlash from white voters who are motivated by racial animus, but I'm curious what that would look like. I hope they don't do it, because I do think that would pull people to their side. But again, I think from a strategy perspective, I don't think she's wrong. I think she's right that if they wanted to win those voters over, that would be one way to potentially help with that.
Yeah, and exploit what's going on currently. You know, you have a Biden administration who is not in touch or in tune at the top with marginalized communities. You have people who are upset about Gaza. You have people who are upset about not enough support for Israel. You have people who are upset, period, and doing things like writing in uncommitted. And if Donald Trump, with Kellyanne Conway's encouragement, can go back to a time where he said to Black people, we have to lose. There are people who are open to that and believe that that is a good question. I don't know that the facts support it. In fact, I know they don't. But this is where we are, and both sides have work to do, but I think that ship has sailed.
For more political news, breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.